All right, hello, everybody. Welcome to Wapiti Wednesday for September 11th, Rut Report Week 3. So, all right, so what did we find last week? Smoke, smoke, ashes falling in camp.
Oh
That microburst that came through on September 2nd started a second fire and it blew up and joined with the other fire, and we are now being forced out of our camp as they have shut down that whole our side of the mountain also for the fire. So Friday we are going up, pulling camp, and relocating. So,
my God. I've
but
had that fall in the camp before.
that's why we always have contingency plans. So because it's the mountains. But how did our weekend go? So we didn't make it out. We didn't get up there early enough for a Friday evening hunt. So Saturday morning, we went back up into where that spike and bull came in to try to get Liz another crack. Um, Good response. As soon as he popped up on the ridge to come over, he chuckled. Liz and I were out front. Bryce and Brandon were out back doing tandem breeding sequence, and Knox was on the Phelps easy sucker going back and forth between the two bulls as a cow, and he would stop and also do raking for the bulls. So the bull came over, chuckled, started chuckling more, and then ramped up into full blown bugling. He stopped at about 80 yards out and flat out tore up a tree. So Liz got to hear chuckling, bugling, raking. Oh, yeah. And that bull came into 9 yards,
Well,
but needed one more step to clear the vitals. Now, and it was so cool because when he came in, we could kind of watch him down below, and he's kind of sitting there, and his rack was pretty blocked by limbs, and he kind of stood there, and then all of a sudden he dipped his head down to drop underneath some branches, and then I saw the full blown effect of what was coming in. That's who came in for her at 9 yards. That's about a 315, 310, 315, 6x6. So yeah, she was at full draw. It was just awesome. The adrenaline, the shakes, and once everything all calmed down, he started to clear that tree and then wheeled and went out, and he hung out there for a little bit, but we just couldn't pull him back, so we just let him slip back out. But yeah, when we got all together, she was still shaking. Remember, I told you guys I shake. Bryce now calls Liz and I shake and bake is the new nickname for Liz and I. But once the emotions calmed down, she was like, "That is the coolest, most exciting things I have ever experienced in the elk woods. Can we please hike and go find another bull and do that again?" So, um, pretty awesome. We backed out after that. Nothing Saturday night. And then Sunday we went back in there after him again. But when we were on our way in, we ran into a couple of guys. They kind of gave us their game plan. We gave them ours, not a problem. And I think because that bull did the same thing, he came up on the ridge, he chuckled, started chuckling, started engaging, and then all of a sudden just disappeared. And I think those guys hit the ridge above him with thermals blowing down, and he caught a nose full of them. So, but good reactions, good bugles, good responses. Testosterone level obviously raised up a little bit. Um, of course, we were doing a two-person breeding sequence, which that creates a lot of excitement anyways. So, all right, what to expect for the next week from today until next Tuesday. We'll be back again next Wednesday. Um, Testosterone levels rising. Going to start seeing some cows starting to come into cycle a little bit. So going to hear some pretty good rut activity. It's going to be sporadic on the cows coming in because we're still a little ways out from the autumn equinox, but we are getting closer. The moon is also getting bigger and brighter, so which means they're going to be going to bed early. They're going to be coming, especially as we get towards middle of next week, um, because that gets to the full moon, which is also a super moon. So what does that mean? It means midday madness. Um, and that's one thing that we've been talking to Liz about is the midday madness. And so that 11 to 2 o'clock window in the middle of the day is going to be phenomenal. You're going to have a lot of elk up on their feet and going to be moving. So, Mr. Larry, how we doing?
Hey, Larry.
I'm doing great, thank you.
So shoot, we already went through the recap of what happened last week, and we're getting into what expect from now until Tuesday. So,
Well, you don't know what happened last week.
well, I know what happened in my camp last week. Have you been out and on your first hunt yet, and how did it
I've,
go?
I've completed mine.
Now, which one was this? Which tag?
New Mexico,
Okay, this was the New Mexico. I couldn't remember if New Mexico or Oklahoma was first.
first season archery,
Okay,
and
and
I got a, little 3x4.
nice,
Oh, good
Yeah,
for you.
yeah.
nice. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, feel very blessed.
much bugling activity, or what did you
It,
find?
it was really interesting. We got into bugling activity every day, and as soon as we would give them a cow call, they would shut up and leave. They had no interest. Whether a cow call, a grunt, or a whine, as soon as they heard something else, crickets. They would just shut up. It was amazing. I've never seen anything quite like it before.
Interesting. Is that
Hmm.
a is that a high pressured area? Is there a lot of
It
people?
was pretty high pressure. Yeah,
Okay.
there were a lot of encampments along the road, along the way, and so yeah, there were a lot. One time one night we heard five different bulls, two of them raking, three of them bugling. Got dark on us before we could close the distance on any of them. The
Yeah.
next day we ran into three hunters in the same area.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so here's one thing that we found too. So um, I've been really playing with these riven reeds, the stratum and the black ice, and we were talking about this up on the mountain because Bryce was like, man, it has really good tones, it has good depth, but it just doesn't have that volume like the Phelps or like this. A couple of the other reeds that really just get this obnoxious volume. And I said, yeah. But I said, Bryce, how were the responses when I was using, those reads? He goes, you were getting really good responses. And I said, okay. I said, did you pay attention to those guys that came on the ridge above us and that were basically trying to locate elk in Montana? Because yeah, those guys were a little loud. I said, did they get any response at all when they zipped through the ridge by us? No. He goes, in fact, come to think of it, as soon as they were out of earshot, you hit that stratum and that bull immediately responded to you. I said, why do you think that is? Crap, fine. When we get to town, maybe I'll go pick up a couple of those and try them. And I'm like, volume is not always the best. I said, we've talked about this, Bryce. Listen to the cow sounds. And I said, and that's the biggest thing. I said, the bulls can get volume, they can get loud. I said, but listen to the cows when we hear them. Remember how soft they are. And that's one thing that I really like about this stratum is I'll move it forward and I'll pull my tongue back and just get on that tip of the tongue. So normal, but when you pull that thing back or pull your tongue back and just use the tip, you can get so ultra soft on that thing. And that's what we were kind of talking about. And you know, that's one of the things to keep in mind if you guys are hunting high pressure areas. If you're out there with max volume on your cow calls and your bugles and this and that, and you're just not getting responses, or like Larry's case, where there was bulls that were bugling on their own, you make a sound, especially like a cow sound that's max volume or this or that, and then all of a sudden they shut up. That should be a pretty good indicator of, you know what, we need to turn that volume dial way down. So because those bulls are used to hearing the cows.
And they can hear for a long ways.
They can. And so that's the thing, when they hear those cows nice and soft, and then they're bugling, and then all of a sudden they hear this nya, nya, nya.
Yeah, it's not natural. It's not something weird.
That's why they shut down. It's like, because it's not natural. And that's where, you know, especially some of you guys that are new and maybe watching this on the replay, I've said it several times. Are you calling like a human, or are you calling like an elk? And this is where being aware of your surroundings really come into play, especially early in the year. So,
Mike, let me say something
sure.
about that. One time we were responding to a bugle with a light bugle, and there was a hunter out there, and he said, I had this spike at 20 yards, but I didn't want to take him. He was broadside, so I passed on him. But then the spike heard a bugle, and he took out like he was lit on fire. So that tells you what response he didn't want to fight any other bull. He wanted,
Right.
he'd probably already been whipped, and he wanted out of there.
Well, and the spike is not going to have that testosterone level raised up to where he's going to be fighting anyway. Spikes
Right.
are just curious. So now here's another thing that you guys can do. So that's how you can get really soft on the cow calls. But what about your bugles? And the trick to do is take your hand and cup the bottom of the bugle. Okay, so if I don't cup it, you have max volume. But if I cup the end, it removes some of that sharpness on the bugle. So it's even more noticeable when you do that out in the woods. And if you can do a combination of really pull back the air pressure with your diaphragm and cup the end of the bugle like that, man, you can really do some good soft bugles. So, and tune those down. So, okay, so we were talking about what to expect for the next week. You know, testosterone levels are going to be rising. You're going to start having some cows come into estrus sporadically here and there. The other thing too is you know, between today and next Tuesday, you're going to start to see the elk activity change a little bit. They're not going to be out as long in the morning, and they're going to come out later in the evening, because that moon is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and brighter, and getting close to that full moon, which is going to be a super moon. That is going to be a super bright night. So what you're really going to want to do is start heading up the trail in the dark, so that you're closer to where you want to be at daylight, because you're going to have a much shorter window. But with that being said, that midday madness between 11 and 2 o'clock is going to be phenomenal. You're going to have some great opportunity, some good bugling activity. And now at this point, pretty much the playbook is full open. You can do any sequence. And this is where you can really dive into the breeding sequence and really ramp that sequence up, really ramp that excitement up. Um, get really aggressive on the on the raking. And this is one of those ones too that you're going to get some pretty good reactions from bulls. Remember, stay within your story until that bull gets within 125 yards of you. Then you can shift your attention to him, because at that point his testosterone levels risen enough that he's really interested in that hot cow, that you can get aggressive with him and then get into that screaming fest. So I know that bull that sat there and raked 80 yards from us on Saturday. I mean, he flat out got after that tree. So, um, but yeah, so good weekend other than us being forced out of camp, and we've had that discussion. Um, yes, we put in a lot of work on this face. So Larry, the a microburst came through on September 2nd, because we already had the one fire to the north of us that was going away from us. A microburst came through on the 2nd and started a second fire. And we heated up again this last weekend. I mean, it was 90 degrees up there on the mountainside with single digit humidity and strong winds. That fire blew up. It combined with the other one. So they shut down our side of the mountain. So, so we have to sneak into a fire closure area and pull camp out and move it. But yeah, we have a backup plan. We have a contingency plan. We're going to move camp over to a place where we camped this summer. We kind of scouted a little bit. Don't know exactly where the elk are. We have a good idea. So we're just going to go hunt that and keep an eye on that fire closure. Nice thing is temps have dropped down. We got about a half an inch of rain up there today. I think there's about 3/4 of an inch of rain hitting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Temps are low. Humidity is now up. At night, it's up at 100%. They brought in a new incident team that brought in a bunch of masticators and heavy equipment. And so we're thinking in the next 3 to 5 days, between weather, rain, and those guys, that a lot of things going to happen with controlling that fire. Now, will they pull the fire closure area back up so we can get back in? Don't know. We'll just play it as comes. So, but that's all part of hunting out in the West, and hunting, in the mountains. Forest fires happen. That's why we always have, contingency plans and backup plans. But so yeah, good activity starting to come up, and especially with that full moon, you're gonna, because right now up to this point, it's been, in the morning. We have yet to have a good evening hunt, just because it's been so stinking hot that they seem to not really be moving until late. But man, with these cooler temps, I mean, you're talking temps that are going to be 25, almost 30 degrees lower than what they were. So, going to be a good few days for sure. So, okay. So that is the or the weekly rut report for September 11th. Larry, congratulations on your bull. Now, how long do you have to wait until Oklahoma?
January the 27th.
Oh, you got a little bit of
Yeah.
time for that one.
And I just sent you some photos of the, emailed them to you.
Cool.
And one of the things that I wanted to point out about the hunt, we hunted 4 days and got the bull on the morning of the fifth day at 8:30. During that time, we saw or heard 0 cows. They were all bachelored up
Yep.
bulls.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Same thing. We've had kind of hit and miss. That's kind of what we've talked about in the previous rut reports, is kind of a mixture. We know one bull for sure had cows, but that's the bull that we had kind of bumped into the week before when we were pulling cameras. Um, Quite a few of the other bulls were still bachelored up. And that opening weekend, it didn't seem like there was the same number of elk in the area until, Sunday, Monday, when it seemed like, okay, some more elk have moved back in. To me, it seemed like some of the older bulls were out gathering cows and coming back in. In fact, we got up to um, this ridge. We hiked above where I put one of the trail cameras this year and got up on the ridge because we were just kind of curious after that bull went quiet on Sunday and got up there, and good Lord, there's a lot of rubs up on that ridge right above some dark timber. It's in a little saddle, and I'm like, dude, this is a travel corridor from that feed area over there over this saddle to this dark timber right here because there's that rub and wallow right down there. And Bryce goes, yeah, he goes, but I don't see any tracks since it rained. And I'm like, well, then we'll have to keep an eye on this because this could be a summer area for the bachelor bulls. I said, but the fact that that 6 point is still hanging out there, that tells me that he's waiting for that big 7x8 to round up his cows and come back in. So, but of course, we're going to have to wait until we can get back in there with the fire ban lifted now to keep connecting the dots. And that's kind of what, I told the crew and my wife was, look, everything happens for a reason. It's still been a very, very productive year. Look at everything that we've learned about this area. Look at the mental maps that we've put together from hiking. Look at the things that we found. Look at the access routes and look at the number of elk that we have on cameras. Um, Definitely not going to put cameras in the same place next summer. We'll put a couple of them in the same place, but we definitely have some new areas to put camera and just keep gathering more info. But so yeah, guys, we're right on the edge of things really breaking loose and really having some good bugling encounters. Um, Greg sent me an email, said that they haven't heard a ton of bugling over there where he's at, but he said they were set up doing the breeding sequence and had a spike come from the same direction that they had just walked through. And he said he's pretty sure that the spike scared them just as much as they scared the spike. So when they all noticed each other. So, but yeah, it sounds like they're getting into a few over there as well. So, all right, so that's going to conclude the weekly rut report for September 11th. We will be back again next week on the 18th. Will not be here on the 25th because I leave Friday the 20th and I don't come back until the 29th or 30th. So,
To hunt?
yes, yep.
Good.
Yep, the
Good.
long hunt. So
Yeah.
hoping we can get Liz's tag punch this weekend. We keep getting closer and closer and closer. Yeah, Larry, you missed it. Called in about a 310, 315 bull. Nice, good 6x6 to 9 yards.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
no shot?
just needed him to take one more step. So, but she had the full blown, full draw adrenaline, and she is absolutely hooked. Absolutely hooked. So
My bull was 12 yards behind
nice.
behind the scrub brush, so I had to slip the arrow through the scrub brush.
Yeah. Yeah, this one unfortunately was a tree with a lot of low hanging limbs that there's no way, but
Yeah.
still it was a great encounter. So
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
yeah, we've
That's
been
a
having
great hunt already. If you don't
yes.
get anything, she's had a great hunt.
Well, and she already had because the first weekend we had two spikes and another bull come rolling in. So it's just been progressing, for her. So I told her maybe this weekend we'll get 4 yards in an actual shot because we keep cutting the distance in half. So All right, guys. As always, keep calling, keep practicing. More importantly, though, have fun. Good luck to those that are heading out on the hunts. Travel safe, shoot straight. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, best wishes on your hunt. Jim,
Thank
you got
you.
one coming up?
No, I don't. I didn't get a
Oh,
tag.
sorry about that.
No, I would have been, I told Michael earlier, I would have been, I'm not